Hey team, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then hey, my name is Lara, and this channel is all about productive and purposeful living. So if this sounds like something that you're interested in, then feel free to subscribe and ring the bell so you're notified of when I post. I post every single Thursday. Today we are talking about negative thinking and negative thought patterns. So I'm going to take you through 6 of the most crippling thought patterns and teach you a couple of ways that you can help to change these things around. Also, excitingly, if you stick around to the end in this video, I have made you guys a little freebie to help you on your intentional and purposeful journey. So if you want to get a little bit more positivity into your life, or if you're just starting the journey of self-growth and self-improvement, then stick around because I have a lot for you today. Negative self-talk. Negative self-talk is awful. I want you guys to just stop for a moment and think if you were to say the things that you say to yourself to another human being. You would be deemed like the worst person in the world. But the good news is there are some really simple ways that you can combat it, or at least start to combat it. And the first one is to gather all of the evidence that these negative self-talk statements are false, because they are. So things like, I'm not good enough and I'll never be good enough. So I want you to sit down and write down all of the evidence that you are good enough. I am good enough because I am kind, I am approachable, I am whatever the rest of those sentences are. And then we need to work on replacement. So when we notice ourselves doing those horrible self-talk things, that we can replace it with positive talk instead. A positive reinforcement statement is something like, next time I feel or think blank, I will out loud say blank instead. Next time I tell myself I am not good enough, I am going to say out loud, I'm freaking awesome. These kinds of statements start to shift your thinking around, even by just noticing that you're saying it and then positively reinforcing instead. The more that you say that to yourself, the easier those pathways will be to find for your brain. Your brain is a creature of habit and of repetition. So let's build in some positive repetition. Words. Perfectionism is not only striving to be absolutely perfect, which is not a thing that is possible, but it's also putting you in a position where you don't appreciate what you have right now. You don't practice gratitude, you don't understand that what you have now and where you have been to get here is amazing. Perfectionism does not allow you the joy and the learning of mistakes. Mistakes are great. Mistakes are good for you. Yes, I'm still on a journey to get somewhere, but mistakes are okay. And take a moment to look back on your journey. Where have I come from? What have I achieved to get me here? Comparison, or as I like to call it, the root of all evil. Comparison sucks, and it's something that a lot of us do, and particularly in this world where we're surrounded by social media and celebrity and all of these people who have done all of these amazing things, we start to think, why am I not there? They have this, I don't, I'm less than. But you have been given the gift of something way better, and that is that you are you. No one else in this world is you. And that is so freaking awesome. You are so unique and individual, and that is what sets you apart from the rest. You don't have to try and be them because you are you. And I think one of the major causes of this issue getting out of hand, particularly these days, is social media. Social media is rampant with people who are only posting the best parts of their life and not the bad parts. So that when you look at it, you're like, my life should be that good, and it's not. It's because their life isn't either. They don't post the days where it's like, I can't get out of bed today because I'm having a really awful day, or I just broke up with my boyfriend and I have been crying for 4 hours. Like, nobody posts that. So stop trying to compare yourself to these perfect blanket social media lives, because that's not reality. And it's also then building in this weird, like, if I don't have all of those things that I've seen that person have, then my life is not valuable. So I would recommend that you do a digital and social media declutter. This way, you're making sure that your social life is being surrounded with positive messaging and also with things that build you up instead of break you down. So I've made an entire video about how to do a social media declutter, so I'll just link that one in the description box below for you. I definitely recommend that it's something you go ahead and start on. Next is assuming the worst. This kind of boils down to, we used to do it as survival mechanisms, but that's not really necessary in the world that we live in anymore. And the more we freak out about the worst case scenario, the more we dwell on worst case scenarios, the more we become paralyzed or anxious about it. Because it's our fight or flight reflex kicking in. The more we tell ourselves danger might be coming, the more our body physically responds to it. And yes, this danger could be, what if I don't turn in this assignment in time? Already, your body language changes and it physically takes a toll on you. Unfortunately, this behavior is not only paralyzing, but it also is really damaging because it's so self-sabotaging. It's so easy to go, this awful thing might happen, so I'm not going to put in 100% effort because I might fail, and that failure is so terrifying. This one, the solution is weirdly simplistic. You just need to look at the worst case scenario and then think, if that happens, then what? For me, mine was, I'm not good enough to be in this show and I'm going to get fired and I'm so terrified of that. And then I had to go, okay, worst case scenario, you do get fired. Then what happens? You know, like, if I'm not in this show, then I'm going to make my own work. I'm going to continue to direct new work. I'm going to help people produce work. I'm going to keep working in this industry. I'm not going to just give up. And the fact that life could continue after that horrible case scenario and realize that I would be okay, it made all of that fear and anxiety start to dissipate. So if this is you and you feel yourself doing that and going, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this awful thing is the result of this? Then breathe. Think about, okay, what if that does happen? Then what? Don't just dwell on the it happening. Go, then what would happen afterwards? Because it's the what happens afterwards that can help you to relax. Complaining. Complaining is a lot more damaging than you think it is. I think we all start out complaining because it's kind of like it's juicy and it's a little bit dramatic to be like, how are you? And you can be like, oh my God, this thing is awful, that thing sucks, this terrible thing just happened to me. And adds kind of like that little bit of intrigue and interestingness to your life. But unfortunately, it also locks down behavioral patterns, and not really good ones. Because what it is telling your brain is that everything is terrible all the time, the world sucks. That's how we should view everything every day, all the time. You end up going through life with this sucks glasses on. So battling through this, it's the same advice as it is for negative thinking. You want to go through and compile all of the evidence that life doesn't suck. Life is actually kind of cool. And then once you've done that is to work on your positive reinforcement statements. Notice when you're complaining and try and shift that complaint around into a positive statement. The most important thing is that you notice and that you start to slowly work on it. You should always be busy. This one I unfortunately learnt the hard way. Busy does not equal productive. Have you ever heard of something called the 80-20 principle? Pretty much what it means is that 20% of your efforts is responsible for 80% of your results. And this principle has been proven over and over and over again in so many different situations. It's been proven in training, it's been proven in statistics, like just it's all over the place. The good news is if you just focus on doing that 20% effort that is responsible for 80% of your results, you will end up improving and getting way better than if you tried to do the whole 100. Why? Because burnout exists. This type of thinking that busy equals productive really annoys me. Mostly because one, it's completely false. And two, because it's so damaging to people. It really is a factor for so much stress and anxiety and kind of mental and physical strain and exhaustion. So the fix for this one is to start to do an 80-20 analysis and understand the 20% that you need to focus on. And that, my friends, is an almost perfect segue into the thing I would like to talk about. So negative thinking really is a long process, but I wanted to make the starting few steps a little bit easier for you. It's all about repetition and it's all about cognitive and behavioral change, which takes time. So, to make these first steps a bit easier for you in changing around your negative thoughts, I have made you a negative thinking workbook, which takes you through, first and foremost, an 80-20 assessment, and then a couple of ways to identify what your negative thought patterns are and come up with solutions to change them in your life. So if you'd like a copy of that one, completely free, it's in the link in the description box below. I'm actually weirdly really excited about it because if you haven't met me before, hey, I'm Lara, and productivity and like cute worksheets and spreadsheets really make me happy. And I'm weirdly proud of it. So I hope you'll like it and that it adds value into your life. And speaking of adding value to your life, if you're interested in more productive and purposeful living, I post every single Thursday, and it would be awesome if you subscribe and hit that bell so that you get notified when I post. On your way out, don't forget to like, leave a comment, paint a mural of my face, and as always, thank you so much for hanging out. Peace.